Welcome into TWMP Daily. I'm Scott Faughn, joined by Jake Crozen. Jenks, thanks for making the time.
Happy to be here.
We are completing. We brought a member of Congress to you every day at 10 o'clock for the last 4 days. Congressman Onder, Congressman Smith, Congressman Bell, and today, the big dog of the delegation, the man himself, Congressman Sam Graves from the great North Missouri. Thank you so much for the time.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Let's start off. I've asked each of your colleagues. It feels like there's always a winner in this politically. It's a political thing at the end of the day. It does feel like the majority of folks I talk to kind of feel like the Democrats didn't really have the clearest direction on why they forced this shutdown, and their messaging was a little off. Where Republicans were pretty on point.
Yeah, I'll tell you though, there's no winners in a shutdown. Democrats don't win, Republicans don't win. I think the messaging, I think that Senator Schumer had very little to stand on
Yeah.
because he has voted for so many clean CRs in the past. He's always been the person that called for clean CRs, and then all of a sudden he won't push a clean CR. And this could have all been avoided. Had we just passed the CR, then we'd have gone back to the negotiating table and we would have finished up the appropriations bills. We'd have negotiated and compromised on all these issues he wanted to talk about, but he chose to go this route, which is unfortunate.
I think it was unfortunate, but I also think it wasn't very politically fortunate for him. There's a big discussion, but now that things are back online, how long do you think it'll take for folks to be up and running at the same capacity they were 50 days ago?
Pretty much everything is right up and going again now. Back pay will be done within 2 days. It will take a little bit longer for our traveling public to see normality again. It will happen before Thanksgiving, but we're going to cap the reductions at the 40 biggest airports at 6%. We're not going to go any higher than that, and which is good news. And but it should be all back up and going within before Thanksgiving. The airlines don't want to miss out on the biggest travel days
Sure.
of the year, and they want it to be back up and going as quickly as possible too.
You know a little bit about aviation. I know there's some federal employees that stay on the job and get paid, and it's kind of a mishmash of ones that do and ones that don't. Do you think air traffic controllers should be in that list of folks who don't lose their pay when the government shuts down?
Well, we're looking at a couple of things, and yes, I do to answer the question simply. But the problem is the way we pay for operations at the FAA is through there's a tax on everyone's ticket that they buy for to travel. And the unfortunate part is even when there's a shutdown, that tax still gets charged, but we can't use that money then to pay air traffic controllers. It's kind of a mess. So what I'm looking at right now is we've got other pots of money out there within the transportation, within the aviation world that we might be able to tap into and make sure that this doesn't happen again. And we're looking at that right now.
Let's let's talk about the map that changed. Your district changed a little bit with the new map that's potentially going to go into effect. I guess the plan is it technically is in effect right now. What changes went to the sixth district?
To be quite honest with you, it pretty much went back to the way it used to be.
Yeah.
Um, we got all at Clay County,
Yeah.
which we have had. I represented all at Clay County for 2 decades, and so we've gone back to that, and then we picked up a little bit of Jackson, not much of Jackson. I've always, in the past, I've had some of Jackson. It was always on the east side with Blue Springs and
Yeah.
Lee, but it doesn't change the sixth district much at all, to be honest with you. It just takes it back to the way it used to be.
What did you think of the process by which the map was changed?
Um, So, I can see, what's happening. I'll be honest with you, I hate to see these fights on redistricting
Yeah.
once we, established our districts. And I fought for the map that we have that's in place right at this minute. Um, and obviously there was the bill to change districting in the middle, but I fought for the last map. And I think it was a great map. It was a good map. I think that uh, I don't think the sixth district will change, but you know, there could be years when Missouri could be a 5-3 state rather than a
Yeah.
7-1 state. And so it's a dangerous game, to start playing that. I look at, but I understand too, it's been going on a while. I mean, look at Illinois. Gee, man, Christmas, that is the most gerrymandered state in the world. And you look at Maryland is the same way. They've been playing this game for some time, but you hate to see
It,
Missouri.
I really felt for the legislators and Governor Kehoe because and to me, Emmanuel Cleaver is somebody I respect a great deal. When I had him on this show previously, he said I think what Illinois did was wrong, which is common sense, but it is tough for somebody to say in today's world, somebody to call out their own party. I respected the fact that he thought that's what he thought that was. He called that out as well. Um, do you think the folks in Northern Missouri will ultimately vote for this if it gets put on the ballot?
It's hard to tell, to be quite honest with you. I know
Yeah.
there's going to be both sides, and it always has as much impact as anything does. But it's hard to tell.
Um, let's talk about highways up in the whole state. You've been working on a new highway bill as the chair of the committee. Tell folks what that could mean for Missouri.
It's going to be good for Missouri. So we passed our first highway bill in 1956 with the interstate system. And since then, we've had 11 total highway bills. And if you take a look at my time in Congress, I've been a part of writing 5 of those. That's almost half of them. So it's the way I look at this, there are 2 things that the government does well, and that's either overreact or nothing. What the government doesn't do well, though, is anticipate. So if we write a highway bill that looks at the last 10 years of highway policy and reacts to it, then we've completely missed the boat. What I am going to do is try to anticipate where the technology is taking us and write a highway bill that addresses that. We need an environment, a regulatory environment that business can count on, that they can plan for, that they can adapt to, and then invest in moving forward. And you just think about what the world's going to look like in 10 years when it comes to transportation. I mean, 10 years ago, we didn't even know what Lyft and Uber were. And we already have driverless cars, driverless trucks, pilotless aircraft out there. And I mean, it's not about, the Jetsons are coming, they're here.
Yeah.
And we have to be thinking about that. We're going to have cars that are talking to each other and planning routes based on congestion and based on, delays. We're going to have cars that are talking to the roads, that are looking at road conditions and that sort of thing. I mean, it's fascinating, the technology out there, and I want to be looking at that as we move forward when it comes to this highway bill.
There is a lot to be said for the future, but boy, I drive 36 now, and it's awfully nice. And when you were first elected to Congress, it was an awfully rough drive.
It is very nice now, and 4-lane all the way across the state, which is nice with unlimited access. That's good too. I believe in that. So,
Uh, let's talk about. There was another thing. I got this packet of gummy nerds. My son likes gummy nerds a lot, and as you can tell, I carry enough weight. I got a sweet tooth myself. These are a thing that says Big Chewy Nerds, packaged just like Nerds. You can buy these 4 blocks from the Attorney General's office in Jefferson City, Missouri. This is not gummy nerds. This is drugs. This is just straight up drugs packaged to be sold to kids at a gas station that you can literally see from the conference window of the Attorney General's office. You guys have a piece in one of the bills you're considering right now, I guess passed last night, that would basically close a hemp loophole where you could take hemp, which has a lot of very legitimate uses, and a lot of folks were taking it, turning it into drugs and packaging them in gummy nerds clusters. What did you think of closing that hemp loophole?
to be quite honest with you, I wasn't aware of that. I'm not a fan of this, you know, problem that we have between states legalizing THC and the federal government.
Yeah.
It's staying illegal in the federal eyes, and it just creates a huge conflict and a huge problem. I think we either need to decide one way or the other. Personally, I'm not a I grew up in a different world. I'm not a big fan of it, but because you can't test for it, you can't. Obviously, in the farming industry, the last thing you want is somebody driving a truck down the highway. That's
Yeah.
uh, the influence. But I'm not a big fan. But I didn't realize it was in the bill.
I'm about half an Okie from Muskogee on a lot of that stuff. I think I'm from a different time or a different era. My elbow bend's pretty good, but that's about it. Maybe it's the German in me. But I do think it was surprising, as this has been a topic in our state. We have a highly regulated marijuana distributor network, and then we have these things in gas stations. And to each their own, but I kind of think most of the time, boy, I don't think you should be able
Yeah.
to package stuff for kids that are drugs. That's
Oh, I completely agree with
that that's
that.
crossing some lines.
That crosses a lot of lines.
Well, I think Andrew Bailey was on this, and I think Catherine Hanaway's on this, and now the federal action probably is the precipice where I think we'll see some different changes. As far as these clean CRs, how long is the government open for?
We are open till the end of January, I believe. That takes us to the end of January. We've got time. That gives us time to negotiate the spending bills and move forward. And I know that process literally started as we speak, working through those. But yeah, it takes us through the end of January.
Do you see a possibility where the Democrats are just going to continue this kind of strategy until the midterms and hope and pray that they may see some pickup game because of that?
It's hard. I can't speak for Schumer and what he is going to do. I don't know. Like I say, I think they realize that they didn't win on this, and we realize we didn't win on this. We tried to avoid it, but hopefully, we won't see these political games, and that's exactly what they were. They were political games being played moving forward. Let's just come together, find the common ground, and get the appropriations bills passed and move on.
It feels like to me. I watched this with Barack Obama. There were some Republicans that had a dislike for Barack Obama that didn't always match the realistic logic. I remember all the birth certificate stuff, and it looked irrational to me, the dislike, and maybe even more so sometimes Republicans had for Obama. Honestly, I've never seen anything come close to how Democrats just hate Donald Trump, and I have some understanding. He is there are things to dislike about President Trump, no question. The level of vitriol that exists amongst your not even your activist Democrats, but a lot of times more normal people, it's shocking to me. And I think some of the shutdown, some of that was exhibited where they didn't really know what they wanted. They just really don't like Donald Trump.
Yeah, I think there's a whole lot to that, what you just said. It is nothing but pure hatred towards Trump. Obviously, President Trump has his own way of doing things,
Sure.
uh, is, and he isn't necessarily the best at playing softball, but he gets things done.
Yeah.
He pushes forward. But the hatred it's there. It's pure, and it's there for sure. And I think this plays into a lot of it. It's just opposing, something that President Trump wants.
Take me inside the challenges that had to be passing this clean CR with the razor thin majority you have. I don't know Speaker Johnson, but I mean honestly, a lot of credit has to go to a lot of places to have that small a majority and pass that CR. That seems like some damn good parliamentarian work.
Yeah, Mike is doing a great job. He really is. He's doing a great job as speaker. He's a good negotiator. He's a friend. That helps considerably when you're trying to keep the conference together and hold them
Mhm.
together. It's very hard to pass anything unless it's a purely bipartisan bill. When you have a margin as narrow as we have, and it is razor thin narrow, and operating in that environment makes it very tough. And what that allows is the extreme on either side. It's usually the extreme on the majority side, but
Mhm.
it's happening on the minority side now. But the extreme gets to dictate they get to dictate the schedule in many cases. They get to dictate the terms because it only takes, one or two. to really mess something up. And so it's just hard. It's very hard to govern in a narrow margin. Very hard.
Take me back. You served in a historic time here in the state capitol when you were in the state senate, and it was what, a 1716, something like that, for a couple months. I guess that was after you had been to Congress. You got to kind of see as you were heading there. It was a very tight time in the Missouri Senate when you left it. Tell folks about that. This seems like a spaceship, long ways. It seems that we should start this song long ago and far away. But tell folks about that Missouri Senate you served in. It was very close.
We could we could caucus in a phone booth, Republican. I was in the state senate. It's bizarre because that all happened. If I remember correctly, when I left and went to Congress, it was the year that we had the even split, and wasn't Ed Quick and Peter Kinder both president pro tem or co-president pro tems
Toes, yeah.
at the time? And then we got that worked out on a special, but it flipped over and flipped over fast. In fact, the entire state did. Look, we went from when I was in the legislature. The Democrats had majorities in both chambers, and they had all the statewide offices except for the state auditor's office. And then you look at just a short time later, a very short time later, and you got supermajority, Republican supermajorities in both chambers and all the statewide offices. And so I attribute that to what happened under President Obama, and I think Missourians traditionally were very conservative Democrats. In fact, I remember the people I served with, my friends, they were all good friends. They were actually pretty conservative Democrats. Jim Matheson he ran the state Senate for a long time. Mike Liebeyer, Harold Caskey, John Scott, those Democrats, Danny Staples.
Yeah.
I would not call them a progressive Democrat in any way, shape, or form. And I think Missouri, what people saw was they either decided that they were an independent or went to the Republican side because they were conservative. My family is exactly the same way. I grew up in a family that were traditionally Democrats. And, then Todd and I came along, my brother and I came along, and we got involved in politics and realized.
I think we leveled that out a little bit.
Well, we realized that that's not where we are. And so Missouri completely has changed. Look at what happened in the 6th district. And for that matter, my predecessor, Danner, she was a conservative Democrat. She was a blue dog Democrat. In fact, when she ran against Tom Coleman, she ran to the right of the Republican candidate. And so the state is completely transformed. Same thing happened in West Virginia. The same thing happened in the South. And I think that the old traditional Democrat Party, I think it left, and it went so far to the extreme. Now they're calling for socialism, and it went so far to the extreme that that a lot of people just they just walked away.
Congressman, I got to take a moment and thank the person that bought me this Stein. Very special to me. This particular Stein of Knowledge brought to me by Kelton Turner. Congressman Kelton, our man, has a trivia question for you. Kelton, you want to ask him?
Do you know what tarkio means?
Do I know?
Yeah.
The word tarkio?
Tarkio.
I know exactly what it means.
It means walnut in the Fox Sock language.
It actually means place where walnuts grow, but yeah.
Oh. I love it. We were up in your neck of the woods a couple weeks ago, and we saw the very nice airport. We got to see downtown Tarkio. We ended up in Rockport. I even took him to Skidmore to show Kelton and Jake the largest pool table in the world.
It just happened to not be there.
The whole town was able to hide under at one time. Ashland County's a fun place to be from.
That's my home, and I'm very proud of that. And I get back there every week. But Ashland County is a great place to be from, right up in the corner.
History, all sorts of. There's so many neat things there. So beautiful homes. We kind of drove down the end of a lane and saw this. it looked damn near like the White House or a governor's mansion. It's a terrific spot. I want to take a moment to thank our sponsors, the folks up in your neck of the woods. As Senator Hagan would call it, the Great Northwest, United Fiber, the finest rural broadband in the state of Missouri, the Courtyard by Marriott, the place to come when you come to Jeff City, hang out. And then, of course, our friends at the Mocan Trade Association. Their products are grown, tested, manufactured, packaged, and sold right here in Missouri. Before we let you go, how's Hank doing?
Hank's doing great. He's doing great. He's obviously farming and doing very well.
You hope anyway, right? It's 10 after 10, so I'm very excited. I'm going to come to your neck of the woods Monday evening to honor Mr. Herzog.
I'll be there.
Very honored, excited to get that invitation. It seems like a very fitting tribute to. When you think of the spirit of enterprise, I don't want to claim to have been close to Mr. Herzog, but I certainly met him a few times. When I think of what a businessman, just a swashbuckling businessman that wakes up and goes out to make money, that's kind of the impression I always got from him.
So here's a little bit for you. So Bill Herzog, Stan's father, who started Herzog Contracting, Bill was a staunch Democrat. In fact, he was the highest or the biggest contributor to Mel Carnahan's gubernatorial campaign than anybody else. And it was Senate Bill 380 that broke him. And Carnahan was pushing that, and Carnahan actually said to Bill Herzog, he said, "Bill, you can afford those taxes." And that really upset Bill, and he went the other direction, and Stanley went the other direction, and look what he became.
There's a lot of folks serving in that Capitol right now, in part because they became Republicans.
Yep, exactly. And that was the that's what they created.
Before we let you go, how are things on the farm?
Farm's good. We're running through the crop. Obviously, we've got mostly soybeans left. I think we got about 400 acres of corn left that we have to clean up. But we're running hard on soybeans right now, and the boys are my brother Danny and my son Trey. They're the managing partner. Dad, who's 91 years old, still gets on the combine every single day. Out and runs, and then I'll be running this weekend like I always am, helping out.
Tell folks about your two new members of the delegation. I have been extremely impressed with Congressman Onder. From day one, he's jumped on issues that matter to Central Missouri as well as St. Charles. He's actually going and fighting for some of our tax dollars back in earmarks. I have been very impressed, and if the new map holds, I almost hate to say. I honestly would tell you, I think most folks in Central Missouri might not have thought a guy from St. Charles would be the best one to serve this district. But 10 months in, I think there's a lot of folks are going to hate to lose him if we lose him in this part of the state.
Yeah, we got a great delegation. We really do, and everybody in it is good, and it's always been that way for the most part. It's always been that way, and Bob is a very good member of Congress. Everybody in the delegation is. We get along. We have regular lunches to talk about the needs of Missouri and what we need to do and what we need to get behind, make everyone aware of what's going on. And we learn what St. Louis needs. The rest of the delegation learns what Kansas City needs, and then everybody learns what the rural areas need, and we all work together to make that happen. And Bob has been he's obviously the newest addition, and he's doing a good job. He's on my committee.
When Congressman Cleaver came on, that was honestly one of my favorite stories, was that when he told about how you guys have lunches together pretty regularly. And he's like, no other delegation really does that. They all get they get questions in their eyes whenever they hear that you guys still have lunches and everything every once in a while. So
Yeah, we absolutely do. We absolutely do. So,
well, Congressman, thank you so much for the time. We really appreciate it. Congratulations on reopening the government.
Thank you. We're back open.
Yes, sir. Thanks a lot. We sure appreciate it.
All right. See ya.
He's the man. He knows how to. He brings home the money.
yeah.
It is always funny, the folks that are good interviews are the shorter ones sometimes, because you ask them a question, they give you an answer, and then it's the next thing you go on to. How about that, Kelton? Kelton has been sitting on this walnut thing for 3 weeks now, hoping we'd have him on. And what happened? I mean, he brought game. You got to just tip your hat, right, Kelton?
I'm going to send a message to the museum and let them know their translation was slightly off.
Well, you should clip this so you could send to them exactly what's up.
They should have had Congressman Graves there double-checking everything.
Well, kind of. That is so awesome.
I'm gonna clip it so then I can send Kelton it every once in a while to remind him.
Oh yes, we need to have this as a go-to.
He texted me one night at like 1 a.m. He said, "Did you know Tarkio means walnut?"
Yeah,
He wouldn't let it go.
He was so proud of himself for knowing, or for incorrectly thinking, that he had Tarkio down. I mean, Kelton, what is it like to get totally faced by a member of Congress like that?
It's kind of an honor.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, if you're gonna get faced by one, I mean, it'd be Sam
But
Graves.
by a simple farmer too, man. The Ashland and Kelton must be infuriated.
Yeah, lowly farmer showing an Ashland man up like that.
I love learning. Learning is awesome.
You learned something. we I would hate to, I always tell folks we don't fact check on here. We have to start fact checking. Just Kelton.
We could have somebody like sit behind the TV over here and just
fact check Kelton.
Yeah,
I mean,
fact check.
In this episode, I mean, I'm sure we said a lot of things that were totally wrong, but I mean, Kelton is the one that got faced. Land where walnuts grow, my man, where they grow.
We could have somebody kind of dressed like Hillary Clinton in the 2016 debate when she kept bringing up fact checks. Anytime Kelton says anything, she's just fact check that.
Ah, yeah, fact checkers.
I mean, I was close. We got the walnut part.
Don't you think fact checkers are just liberals that are pissed off about something?
Usually.
I mean, maybe
Or
Democrats
Kelton.
always tell the truth, and that is possible, I suppose. But it feels like to me it's just a bunch of people to give Trump grief.
Oh, well, I was at one of Congressman Alford's events, and Congressman Alford, who's just super polite, very respectful of the guests that show up. I'm not a big Trump person, but the second they started talking and yelling at him, I wanted to put a MAGA hat on. It really does push you towards wanting to just...
I firmly believe the best thing Donald Trump has going for him is his enemies.
Yep.
I think when they took him off the internet and all that, that was just wonderful things for him. Great shit. I think he would have really hurt his brand out of office, whining all the time on Twitter. He started his own Twitter, which is, I think that's just great. I don't have it. I don't have any of there's a Republican Twitter and now the
Kelton has an account on that, and his name on there is hilarious.
What is your name, Kelton?
No, it's secret. You can't say that.
Secrets don't make friends, Kelton.
We'll fact check it later.
My profile is called The Dog Man, and it's a picture of like a can of Miller Lite I had on my phone.
Would be a dog beer for the dog man. All right, Jake, what a fun week. We've Congressman Anders Smith Bell and now the daddy Sam Graves on. Thank you very much for the time. Kelton, outstanding work this week. How are we going to top this?
I don't know.
I'll tell you how we're going to top this. Monday, Jake is going to interview Garrett Hawkins right here in the studio with Aaron.
You got a lot to be grateful for this year.
I like that. Sunday, this week in Missouri Politics, we're going to take, I mean, let's be honest here, folks. Is there another place that brings you 4 congressmen in 4 days during a government shutdown and the opening up? Show me who it is.
And on the day they voted too.
As you know, folks, I am not one to brag or call attention to myself. But I mean scoreboard, right?
Yeah.
So this Sunday on This Week Goes There Politics, Kelton and Jake are going to take these clips, make these. I should have shown the Congress my Jerry Litton pen. I'm going to give to Rusty Black. I should have brought that up. Dadgummit. Kelton, let me get it back on. I'm just kidding.
Call Rusty.
I'm just kidding. We're going to take some clips for the show on Sunday. We'll be off for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Check this out. 2 weeks. I'll get to laze around and do nothing. Then we'll be back in December. We're going to shoot live at the MAC conference. Aren't we, Kelton?
Yes.
And everybody at the conference is going to be able to hear it, right?
Yes.
And everybody on TV the next Sunday will hear it, right?
Yes.
They're going to love it.
You heard him, right?
Yep.
Okay. So we live from the MAC conference. Then our final show of the year. We only have 2 shows left this year. Final show of the year as always with now. Gosh, when he started, he was a senator. Now he's a senator again. Now he's a senator again, but a little bit different chamber he's in. Wasn't it cool? Eric Schmidt was holding the gavel for when they opened the government back up in the Senate. He was in the dais. I mean, yeah, he had the gavel. He was running the Senate when they were opening that up. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
He'll be here the last show. probably something we should have already called Ashley about before we announced it, but maybe we can make that work. He'll be he was our first guest. The first guest we ever had on This Week in Missouri Politics was Eric Schmidt, and he's our last guest every year for how old are we now? We're getting old.
You are.
Man, yeah.
I'm coming up on my 1 year with you guys.
It's our 10th anniversary of the show.
There has to be some sort of celebration.
Well, yeah, we'll have a party. I mean, yeah.
There'll be some fact checking.
Alcohol will be drank. We will now have to have walnuts at that party just to rub it in Kelton's face. He'll think that's what Tarkio's named after, but the place they
have them on strings in the ceiling back there.
We should make him walk through downtown Tarkio. Shame.
They throw walnuts at him.
Yeah, we all throw walnuts at Kelton as he walks through the street. Shame. Guys, thank you so much for watching. We enjoyed this week. It's been fun to come to you every day. Because we're lazy, we'll be off tomorrow. I mean, Kelton's got to go refresh his Atchison County history. And we'll be back Monday with Garrett Hawkins and Jake Crozen and Aaron Shrimp, we think, here on the
I'll get her here.
All right, I trust you on the TWMP Daily.